Welcome to a rainy morning in the Smokies. This is more like it. This is what I'm more used to from my spring trips here. And I'm down by the edge of the river right now working on a nice little dogwood across the river and a little white water in the river, and made hopefully a nice little composition here. I've tried it both in color and black and white. Tried Provia and Velvia as well as T-Max 100. And tried a couple different variations, one with a 300mm and one with the 200 on the Toho 4x5 view camera. Just a little bit of front tilt to bring the near water and the far tree into focus at the same time, and that's about it. It's kind of a challenge keeping everything dry here. I'm not sure I've succeeded very well. You can see I have the Versa umbrella over the view camera, and I'm holding an umbrella here, covering over the rest of my gear when it's on the ground. So it's just kind of a nice steady rain, and I wish I was a little bit closer to the car. It'd be a little easier to work, but it's been okay. So we'll see how the film turns out, and now I'm just gonna pack up and try to maybe dry things off just a little bit and keep traveling around. This is actually there's another composition right on this road that runs by the river that is what I started to come look at this morning, but then I happened to peer through the trees and saw this dogwood across the other side of the stream, so I abandoned the first plan and went to work on this one. So now maybe I'll take a look at the other composition, my original composition, and see if I can make that one work as well. So anyway, stay tuned. It's going to be a nice rainy day in the Smokies as I travel around and look for more pictures to make. Here's the Velvia 50, and this is the T-Max 100. Taken with my 300mm lens, the composition is just a little tight down here. Here's a piece of Provia I shot with my next widest lens, the 200mm, which is much wider than what I had in mind. I didn't want all this down in here, but just a bit more room down in here for the composition to breathe. So the 300 is a bit tight, but the 200 is way too wide. I had no room to move back at this spot, and even if I was willing to set up in the river, moving closer would have allowed too much sky to appear through the treetops. So I'm living with the slightly tighter than I want composition made with the 300. Here is the black and white proof sheet. Again, I went with a tighter composition. I could use the wider view and just crop in to my ideal framing, so I might experiment with that at some point in the future. After packing all the wet large format gear in the Jeep, I headed up the road to another spot not far away to try a subject I'd scouted earlier in the trip. Since it was still raining heavily, I didn't take any video, and I used the Pentax with a storm jacket cover to keep it dry. Next, I headed up onto the Blue Ridge Parkway. I encountered serious wind, driving rain, and fog. Well, that was some crazy weather. Seriously, hard driving rain and wind and lots of fog. But I did find maybe one or two pictures along the way. But now it's actually, I can see the sun up there and a little bit of blue sky. And so now hopefully I'll get to run up and down the Blue Ridge Parkway here some more with maybe not quite as severe conditions and still hopefully find some good stuff to photograph. Well, I'm back in the fog again. It didn't take long to run into the clouds and fog here, but the rain has stopped and the crazy wind has stopped. So now we have the perfect conditions for these abstract, foggy tree pictures, which I just love to do here. So it's really, really nice to be able to just play around and pick out these abstract forms that the fog simplifies, which is just so wonderful. So I'm just going to keep running up and down the Blue Ridge Parkway here, looking for nice stands of trees that are open to the sky like this, these here behind me, so that the fog comes right in and you just get these beautiful abstract graphic shapes. Just love working on those. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Continuing on this afternoon, just looking for more of these beautiful tree forms in the fog. After thoroughly enjoying my time up on the Blue Ridge Parkway, I headed back down to Great Smoky Mountains National Park in search of more dogwood. I love this grouping of trees. I've photographed them multiple times in the fall from both directions, and they have such a nice shape and colors. They look pretty nice in the spring, too. Well, I found one more composition here tonight. It's getting pretty dark, but I'm back at the picnic area where I came to earlier in the trip, and it's really, really calm right now. So I found this nice dogwood here and just found a nice little arrangement, and so set up the view camera with the 300mm lens on it, and I used a lot of front rise. In fact, I did front rise and rear fall in order to be able to have the camera look up without pointing up, and that helps keep the trees vertical, not converge or diverge at all. So hopefully that's going to work out fine. And I exposed mostly Pro V100, but I did try a sheet of Velvia just to see how it would work. That was a 30-second exposure though at the time, so we'll see if everything held still for that. But anyway, it's been a really good trip, and this is my last day, and in fact I think this is my last picture. It's almost maybe an hour from sunset, and here in the mountains it's getting pretty dark, so I think I'm about done, and I've had a really, really great trip here to Great Smoky Mountains National Park and the Blue Ridge Parkway. I want to thank you all so much for watching all these episodes and following along on this trip. And I hope you enjoyed the photographs and enjoyed the story as much as I enjoyed being on this trip. So thanks so much again for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Here's the Provia 100 and T-Max 100. The trees did not hold still for the long Velvia exposure, but I got lucky that both of these are nice and sharp. If you enjoy this content and would like more information about me and my photography, please head on over to my website at scottwaltonphotographs.com. I have an ebook, annual folios, and handmade fine art prints available from locations all across the country. Thanks so much for checking that out.